Well, hello and welcome to an experimental live recording. We record it straight through, nothing will be edited. This is in portrait mode. Maybe it'll be a little bit more mobile friendly. The problem that we have with portrait mode is most of the world on the web is still set out to be landscape by default. And some things do make a good transition into portrait mode, but a lot do not. And it makes it a little difficult when then we record these and put them out for you. Hey, it's just the way it is. We're just trying something a little bit different today. Remember, you can find our status chats on the playlist, the QR code you see above my head there. Just do a freeze frame, a snapshot, a camera picture of your screen, whatever it takes. That should be big enough to take you over to the YouTube page where all of these are, and get you directly to that particular playlist, the status chat. So, what do we got going on today in today's discussion? We're going to try to keep it fairly short because we've already spent quite a bit of time in the studio getting these scenes set up and ready to roll. And of course, being recorded straight through, I'm apt to make a tongue twister a terrible time. So let's see what we got going on here. It's a little harder to show the receipts, but we have pretty well much text here. This is from the economic calendar this week. As you can see, we were off Monday because it was Labor Day. So what happened on Tuesday? 3 notable events according to the source. This column is last period that we had something done. And then we have this one is the expected, and this one, the leftmost there, is the what we got, if that makes sense, right? Because it's clipped off at the top. So we had the S&P final manufacturing PMI. Last period, 53.3. We expected it to be flat at 53.3, and it almost was at 53.0. Now the ISM manufacturing was 48 last time. We expected 48.5. We got 48.7. Construction spending. This is always a big one. Last period was 0.4% down. We were expecting to be 0% across, and negative 0.1 is what it actually turned out. So we didn't get quite as good as we thought we were going to get. Now, on the next few things, I want to point out that this is a governor, Christopher Waller. Now, if you've heard me speak a little bit on this, I personally think Christopher Waller will be our next chairman. It's just a guess, and I may not know what in the devil I'm talking about, but yes, I think he's my personal odds-on favorite for the position to replace, the chairman when that time does in fact come. Now, if we go back to our screen, we also see that we have a few of these Fed presidents that speak throughout a period of time. Never get too many on a day. Might be as many as 3 people speaking, the governor, 2 presidents, but this is what we got going on. We have 2, St. Louis and Minneapolis, and then we have down here, go slip on up, we have New York and Chicago. These are the bank presidents in the Fed doing their speaking. So let's look at our job openings for yesterday. It was posted just yesterday. We were having 7.4 million on the job openings. This was the previous period. We were expecting that to be flat, nothing really exciting or, either direction, to be honest with you. And we got 7.2. So that's a little bit on the disappointing. According to this, I believe is the government source right here on the job openings from the BLS. If we were to click into that, we could find that. But what we've got going on here is just a little bit of a disappointment, a little bit down. On the factory orders, we were negative 4.8 last period. We've done much better at a negative 1.3, and we hit that 1.3. So we're on target as far as that goes. Now, we did have the beige book. We could make a show just picking through the beige book, and we haven't done that. So maybe we'll do that next time beige book is issued. Auto sales were 16.4 the previous period, 16.1. Not a big deal. Not a big deal different. Although we should be looking to see the model closeouts, and perhaps we might make up a little bit when we do the year-end model closeouts, we might actually pick up a little extra gain, especially if we've gotten a change by then in the cost of money from the Fed. If the Fed goes and takes it down a notch, it's quite possible that some of this that we see in the automobiles that slacked off just a little bit could be because people are thinking, you know, we're hearing all this telegraphing from the chairman saying, you know, next time we've got it. Pretty soon, we're unless something bad happens, we're going to get a 0.25% next time. That may have a big effect on an automobile, especially when you look at the percentage of interest that we pay on an automobile. So this doesn't really bother me, even though it's down. Doesn't really bother me that much. I think I can rationalize that. Maybe wrong in my beliefs, but that's what I think. That's probably not a big deal. Now the ADP, I heard on WTN radio, somebody pointed this out, that this was a less than stellar report from ADP. ADP is a private group. They do unemployment. Obviously, we looked at the government source. We're looking at ADP. We had 106 last period. We're down to 75. That's a big transition down in job openings from 106 to 75, and then it was even less than that. So it's about a half, give or take a half of what it was last period. So that's not looking great. And to go along with that, we were at 229 in the initial jobless claims. That's the newly setting up for unemployment. And we were expecting a slight increase at 230, and we got 237. So there's a few extra, less new jobs being posted, a little few more on the initial jobless claims. And of course, productivity looks good. We've come up in Q2 on the edit. We were at 2.4 in Q1. We look at 2.8 in Q2, and they've brought that up to 3.3. Who knows if these revisions are actually all that accurate? And the trade deficit, we've taken a bit of a hit. We were a little bit worse than we expected it to be, but we're close to target, so that's to be expected. S&P final services PMI was a day after the industry PMI, and it was 55.4 last time, 55.3 was expected, and it hit 54.5, essentially flat from the last period. ISM services, 50.1, 50.2, or 52, I should say, 50.1 and 52, a little difference there. And that's essentially all we got going on in the short form, what we just showed. I hope that when we get to posting this, that they'll be legible. That's a problem anytime we do the portrait stuff, and we may not do this again. Let me know if it's more gooder or more better than it was the normal way that we do it, and we'll probably go back to our historic way, but I wanted to give this a try, see what you think. So on to our numbers. And here we have it. We're going to start out the same basic format, except my reveal, I can't do the one line at a time as normal due to technology issues, but we can certainly look at what we had last week. Of 8/28/25, we had 29,170 in the availables. That includes your coming soons. We had 45,616 in the under contracts. You see we're up on the available and down on the under contracts. And we see that we had the ratio between them also decreased just a little bit to 15% on that ratio. Now, if I do another click here, this is what we had this week. We had 9 of 4 of 25. We see that we had a little lesser of the availables at 28.870 and a little bit lesser of the under contracts at 44.86, and the under contract ratio actually reversed and went back up to 16%. So again, I apologize. This is a straight recording all the way through, no pausing. And of course, I am not a professional on YouTube. I'm an amateur on YouTube for you, and we're just trying this new portrait thing out. Yes, it was a lot of work trying to get it into this format today. Let me know what you think. We can do it either which way. Probably go back to the easy way next time, and let's see what our end of show saying says.